Good evening and welcome back to Arsenal Domination. It's disappointing, isn't it? There's no other words for it. I spoke about Arsenal missing an opportunity last week with the draw. I nearly said defeat because that's what it probably felt like against Fulham last week. And we've drawn again today against Everton on that mini revival, which I think I was expecting Arsenal to have and continue, has faltered for the second week running. And it's 5.5 hours without a goal in open play. And, that is not acceptable from any side that is going for the title. And I still think Arsenal are, but this was a huge, huge hammer blow today. No question. I think let's just quickly run through the game. I'm not going to go into great detail on it because, frankly, Arsenal didn't offer a lot. But, my quick thoughts were I thought the lineup was absolutely spot on. Relatively consistent from the previous game. I think the balance is good with Moreno in that midfield. I think as he gets more and more minutes under his belt, having missed pre-season, I think we start to see the best of him. I don't think we've seen that yet, but I think that will come. And, on paper, an exciting front three with Odegaard pulling the strings in behind. But it didn't work like that really today for us, did it? I mean, we looked devoid of imagination against a side that had clearly used their 10 days very well to prepare for this one. Given that extra preparation time, having missed the Liverpool game. But that cannot be an excuse for Arsenal. Arsenal are used to having 3 days to prepare for games. And it's just not acceptable to not be able to break down a side as poor as Everton. And not score. Yes, Jordan Pickford made a good couple of saves, but we just didn't create anywhere near enough. The tempo wasn't right again. I spoke about that after the United win and the Fulham win, and there was no real Alamo at the end. You contrast that with Liverpool. Yes, they've dropped points today. They've drawn 2-2 at home. Similar circumstance to some of our results earlier this season where we played, long periods of time with 10 men. But they threw everything at Fulham, and yes, they couldn't get the winner, but they gave it a go. And I think that for me was lacking again today. And I'm going to touch on that shortly when I talk about where we're at this season. But today very, very disappointing. Very few efforts on goal. Substitutions were interesting. I think I understand why they were made by and large. Odegaard didn't have a good day, and when Odegaard doesn't tick, Arsenal don't tend to tick. We've seen that yet again today. And Declan Rice is clearly having his minutes managed, as are Partey and Timber as well. I think on the latter two, very, very sensible because neither have, Partey has a poor injury history record, and I've spoken about it before, but Timber coming off that ACL still concerns me. So I was pleased to see their minutes being managed. And as I say, I understood the sort of early substitutions to Odegaard and Rice. I understand why it was made, but when you then don't win the game and you've just taken off your, 2 of your best players, you've taken off your best playmaker. Okay, it wasn't creating anything today, but he's still our best playmaker, and it just takes one moment to get a goal. And one of your set piece takers, you're going to pay the price for that decision if you don't end up winning the game. And ultimately there'll be a lot of criticism of that, and that's a question Arteta's going to have to face, and he's going to have to accept reality there because of the fact we haven't won the game. We've dominated the game yet again, and not created enough, and that really is emblematic of the problems Arsenal have had this season, and Mikel Arteta has to find a solution for it. After the Fulham game, I somewhat defended him being Mikel Arteta, because I felt the team just didn't offer enough independent thinking on the pitch. Today, I think Mikel Arteta hasn't helped the team out today. He set the team up, as I say, arguably with, as close to our strongest side as he possibly can. But his substitutions haven't helped there. Raheem Sterling, again, hasn't seen the pitch. I think the decision to bring in Raheem Sterling on loan was a sensible one if you can't get your targets. But it's only sensible if you're going to use him. And again, not used today. And we've seen, Jesus struggle. I know he was better against Monaco, but we've seen him struggle. We've seen Trossard have mixed performances this season, and okay, we haven't seen a great deal from Sterling, but we haven't also seen a lot of Sterling to see what he can do. And when you haven't scored in now 5.5 hours, try Sterling. It's good to see Ranieri play today. I think that was sensible, and another show of faith in him. I think we are looking at him as the Odegaard sort of backup, and I think that's right. But we just looked devoid, and I said after the summer window we looked one attacking option light. You know, I understood why we didn't buy a striker. I understood why we didn't get Nico Williams. He clearly didn't want to come. That was reportedly one of our target wingers. But I just felt numbers wise we were one short, and I think that lack of competition is starting to bite. Coupled with Arteta being too cautious and too defensive earlier in the season, I don't necessarily think he was that today, but it has come at a cost. And today, if this is turning into a bit of a ramble, apologies, I shall move on. But today, you could sort of saw that all come to fruition. There's a very disappointing result. Has understandably led to a lot of anger amongst the fans. I'm sitting here today recording this video. I'm not overly happy or impressed with what we've seen today for the second successive Saturday. I'm very, very disappointed. And the season is at a bit of a crossroads as a result. And I think, I just want to spend 2 minutes touching on that. Arteta has to win something this season. I've spoken often about the phase of the last few years, and I think that was necessary and required to rebuild the side, and the time was always going to be needed. It'd be nice if we could have seen some trophies along the way, and perhaps we could have done better in that score. But overall, for me, it was always about building for this season. It has been for about 3 years, and there is a danger that it doesn't deliver. And if it doesn't, then those questions rightly should be asked. Do I think they should be asked now? Yes and no. Do I think we should be asking questions about Arteta's future right now? I mean, we can ask the questions, but I don't think Arsenal will decide anything other than he's continuing. Secondly, I don't think it's right to change the manager at this point. I think ultimately we look like we're going to get through to the top 8 of Champions League. We're in a quarter-final of the Cup on Wednesday. And I still think, although it's hanging by the slimmest of threads, we are in the title race. There is very little room for error. But I think there is hope for optimism now. And I've said it before, our hardest games have been played. You'd like to think the injury situation will improve. And this side has shown in the past it is capable of going on a run, but it now has to deliver on that. But it's only going to deliver if Mikel Arteta finds a solution to this attacking slump we're in. He is a defensive manager, and he sets up the side very well defensively, and as we start to see a slightly more settled back four, we start to see massive improvements in the defence. That's no coincidence. We know how good this side is defensively. The questions remain offensively. Now, we score a lot of goals. We scored record number of goals under Mikel Arteta. But we're not at the moment, and we're just not creating the chances, especially against low blocks. And that is where he needs to find a solution. And I think some of that solution needs to come from releasing the handbrake and just going for it a little bit more and trusting that back four, because it is very good. And secondly, I think it is going to require an intervention in the January transfer window. Again, I said it earlier in this video, and I've said it consistently with one attacking option. We need to find a way to bring in an attacker, whether that's on loan, someone like Arda Güler from Real Madrid, or a permanent, someone like Jonathan David. Maybe you can trigger Victor Gyökeres's release clause. I don't know what the finances are. I don't know what Gyökeres would feel about that. I don't necessarily think it has to be a striker, but I think it has to be a forward player that offers us something a little bit different. Maybe go and test Palace for Eze, not having a great season, but someone that can do a little bit different, something different coming on, off the bench, something like that, just to create a bit of spark, a bit of something different about the attack. That's what Mikel Arteta has to do. And if he doesn't, well, the risk is we don't win anything. And if we don't win anything, I don't think he can complain if he were to lose his job at the end of the season. Do I think Arsenal will do it? No, I think Arsenal will stay. I think the fact they're tying down his assistants and coaches to a new deal suggests he's going to stay. But I think, I've been a big defender on Arteta, and I think he's done a lot of good things here, and I think he gets a lot of unfair stick sometimes. But right now, he can't complain about the stick he's getting. I think it's over the top. I think the reaction in the fan base is, as usual, over the top. Probably that's a generational thing, right? I'm not the social media generation, ironically, being on YouTube right now. But I'm not from that generation. And I've seen a lot of football, and I've seen a lot of situations like this develop, and things, sort of come back from the abyss, which is why I am not prepared to ride off a title race. But I understand the anger. I am angry myself about it, and he has to fix this. So, Michael, it's over to you. You need to find the solutions, and you need to find them quick, because you now need to win every game between now and the new year, at least, if you want to stay in this title race. It's as simple as that. You've just missed 2 opportunities 2 weeks running to close the gap to Liverpool. You've not done it. You need to solve it, and fast. Anyway, on a disappointing evening, I will leave you all to it. This video is going out Sunday morning, so I wish you the best of Sundays, and I will speak to you in the week. Try and have a good day, guys. Sorry, it's such a disappointing video to have to discuss, or topic on the video to discuss. But anyway, have a good one, guys. Cheers. Bye.